Many corporate merger and acquisition deals promise transformation, but deliver catastrophe. In this video, we're counting down the 10 biggest mergers and acquisitions disasters of the past decade and exploring what went wrong. Number 1. Microsoft and Nokia. Microsoft wanted to become a major player in the smartphone market. The solution? Buy Nokia's handset business for $7.2 billion. However, the Windows Phone operating system that Nokia phones would run on barely held 2.5% of global market share. Developers weren't building apps for the Windows Phone operating system, and demand for Nokia phones was on the decline due to intense competition from Android and iOS-based phone manufacturers. Worse still, the integration between Microsoft's American tech culture and Nokia's Finnish heritage proved difficult. The result? A $7.6 billion write-down of Microsoft's phone hardware division and over 18,000 layoffs of Nokia employees in 2016. Microsoft ultimately exited the smartphone hardware market entirely. Number 2. Kraft Heinz and Unilever. In 2017, Kraft Heinz made an audacious $143 billion bid for Unilever, a potential mega deal that could have been the second largest deal in history. The goal? Create a consumer goods giant underpinned by aggressive cost-cutting and efficiency. On the surface, the deal between the two consumer goods companies looked like a promising match combining Unilever's household names such as Ben & Jerry's ice cream, Dove soap, and Lipton iced tea, with Kraft Heinz's own broad product range from Heinz tomato ketchup to Philadelphia cream cheese. However, the philosophies and corporate cultures that the two companies represent were miles apart. Kraft Heinz's focus on maximizing short-term value for their shareholders through aggressive cost-cutting clashed with Unilever's sustainability-driven and long-term value creation culture. Unilever ultimately rejected the offer within 48 hours, and Kraft Heinz withdrew its bid. Number 3. AT&T and DirecTV. AT&T believed that bundling satellite TV with its broadband and wireless services would be a game-changer. In 2015, it acquired DirecTV for $67 billion, a deal financed heavily with debt, adding approximately $18 billion to AT&T's already growing liabilities. But the timing was off. Cord-cutting was accelerating, and streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu were rapidly replacing traditional pay TV. AT&T was in fact betting on a dying business model. Between 2017 and 2020, DirecTV lost over 7 million subscribers. Revenues declined while debt servicing costs ballooned, limiting AT&T's ability to invest in its core wireless and fiber broadband businesses. By 2021, AT&T spun off DirecTV in a joint venture with TPG Capital, valuing it at just $16 billion, a loss of more than $50 billion from the original deal price. Number 4. Teladoc and Livongo. During the pandemic, telehealth demand exploded. Usage surged over 4,000% as patients avoided in-person visits. Riding that wave, Teladoc acquired Livongo for $18.5 billion to merge virtual care with chronic condition management. But the integration failed. Teladoc's episodic visit model clashed with Livongo's continuous engagement platform. Sales channels, pricing, and tech systems didn't align, and synergy expectations were overly optimistic. Meanwhile, Teladoc's stock had tripled pre-acquisition, inflating the deal's valuation. By 2022, Teladoc took a $13.7 billion impairment directly tied to the Livongo deal, citing macro pressures, slowing demand, and weaker than expected synergies. Number 5. AstraZeneca and Alexion. AstraZeneca acquired Alexion for $39 billion in order to diversify into rare diseases, where high drug prices and limited competition offer attractive margins. AstraZeneca paid a 45% premium over Alexion's share price, steep for a company heavily reliant on a single blockbuster drug, Soliris, which accounted for over 70% of revenues. Soliris faced imminent patent cliffs and biosimilar threats, raising concerns about future revenue stability. Synergies between the two companies were also weak, considering that AstraZeneca and Alexion had little therapeutic or commercial overlap, and integration has been complex. While the deal hasn't completely unraveled, analysts remain skeptical it will deliver a return commensurate with its cost. Number 6. KKR and Accel Group. During the pandemic, cycling boomed as people avoided public transport and sought outdoor exercise. In Europe, e-bike sales rose over 45% in 2020, sparking global supply shortages. Seeing a long-term opportunity, KKR acquired Accel Group, Europe's largest bike maker. But by 2022, demand collapsed as cities reopened and consumer priorities shifted. Accel was left with excess inventory, rising costs, and shrinking margins from discounting and supply chain pressures. The outcomes from the deal were layoffs, operational cuts, and falling valuation. Ultimately, what looked like a structural trend turned out to be a short-lived pandemic spike. Number 7. Bayer and Monsanto. Bayer made headlines with its $63 billion acquisition of Monsanto. The aim was to dominate global agriculture by combining seeds, chemicals, and crop protection. But Bayer inherited a storm of legal trouble. Over 125,000 lawsuits related to Monsanto's weed killer, Roundup. The active ingredient, glyphosate, was alleged to cause cancer. Bayer's due diligence had missed the scale of exposure. The fallout? Over $11 billion in legal settlements and a $60 billion drop in Bayer's market cap. Possibly Europe's most value-destructive deal ever. Number 8. SoftBank and WeWork. SoftBank backed WeWork with billions, convinced by Adam Neumann, the then CEO's pitch that flexible office space could scale like a tech company. At its peak, WeWork was valued at $47 billion, but the company's business model was flawed. It leased office space long-term and re-rented it short-term, which meant that it carried massive overhead. In 2018, WeWork burned $1.9 billion on rapid expansion, discounts, and unsustainable subsidies. The 2019 IPO filing revealed escalating losses, governance issues, and Neumann's self-dealing. Investor backlash was swift. The IPO, once expected to value WeWork at $47 billion, was pulled and private valuations plunged to $10 billion. SoftBank doubled down with a $5 billion bailout, but by 2023, WeWork eventually filed for bankruptcy and SoftBank suffered an $11 billion loss. Number 9. JustEat Takeaway and Grubhub. Eager to enter the U.S. market, JustEat Takeaway bought Grubhub for $7.3 billion. But the U.S. delivery market was already saturated. DoorDash held over 50% of the market. Uber Eats controlled 25%. Grubhub was a distant third and shrinking. Due to intense competition, Grubhub's order volumes dropped 11% year over year by 2023, and Just Eat eventually sold Grubhub to Wonder for just $650 million in 2024. Number 10. HP and Autonomy. Though just outside the decade window, HP's acquisition of British software firm Autonomy is too infamous to ignore. In 2011, HP paid $11.1 billion to pivot from hardware into enterprise analytics, paying a 12x revenue multiple, far above the industry norm. But within a year, the deal imploded. Autonomy was accused of inflating its revenues through accounting tricks. As a result, HP wrote down $8.8 billion, blaming $5 billion of that on alleged fraud. The integration failed, key leaders left, and the fallout triggered shareholder lawsuits and regulatory investigations. The legal battle is still active, including the extradition of Autonomy's former CEO, Mike Lynch, to the U.S. in 2023. So which of these deals surprised you the most, and which deals would you like us to include? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.